Everyone's asking the same question right now. Is AI going to take my job? And I get why. Every few months, AI learns to do something that used to sound impossible. Writing code, making videos, handling customer support, even analyzing legal documents. So if your work happens on a laptop, it's easy to feel like every job is slowly becoming replaceable. But that's not actually true. There are still jobs AI struggles with for very specific reasons. They require physical presence, human trust, real-world judgment, legal responsibility, or decisions where pretty good isn't good enough. So in this video, I'm walking through 20 jobs AI is least likely to replace, why they're harder to automate than people think, and what those jobs reveal about the kind of work that will stay valuable as AI gets better, and some of them already pay six figures. The jobs on this list usually share one or more of these things. They require real human trust. They happen in unpredictable, messy environments. They involve physical work that's hard to automate. They demand high-stakes judgment, or they depend on emotional nuance that AI still doesn't have. Keep those 5 things in mind as we go through the list, because they're the reason these jobs are still standing. Let's start with the category I think matters most. Jobs built around care and human connection. Because this isn't about skills AI hasn't learned yet. It's about what people actually want when things get hard, and what they want is another person. Number 1. Psychologists and therapists. Yes, AI can chat and respond, but therapy is not about generating a response. It's about trust, reading emotional nuance, knowing when to push, when to pause, when something deeper is going on. When someone is talking about grief, trauma, or their marriage falling apart, they don't want a machine faking empathy. I have a psychologist in the family, and she's been busier than ever. There is so much going on in the world right now, and people want a real person to listen to them, not a chatbot. 2. Social workers. Social workers deal with family situations, crisis situations, abuse, neglect, housing, addiction, messy, emotional, unpredictable work. AI can help with paperwork. It can organize information, but walking into a real family situation and figuring out what's actually going on, that still takes a human. 3. Nurses. I want to spend a little more time on this one. I had a family member in the hospital not long ago, serious enough that we were scared, and I watched the doctors come in, do their assessments, move on. But the nurse? She was the one who noticed when something felt off before the monitors did. She was the one who sat with my family member and actually talked to them. AI can support nurses. It can help with admin, track vitals, flag data. But that combination of clinical skill, presence, and genuine care, we are nowhere near replacing that. 4. Caregivers/home health aides. Helping someone elderly, someone with a disability, or someone seriously ill is not a checklist. It's physical help, emotional support, patience, presence, and adapting moment by moment. And even if parts of it could be automated, most families would still want a real person. That's what I would want for my loved ones. 5. Physical therapists. AI can track movement and analyze form, but a physical therapist is working with pain, fear, motivation, setbacks, and bodies that don't all respond the same way. That mix of hands-on skill and human judgment still makes a real difference. Now let's talk about people who work in buildings, under floors, inside walls, on job sites, because this is where AI runs into a wall pretty fast. 6. Electricians. In theory, people love to imagine robots doing electrical work. In practice, electrical work happens in old buildings, awkward spaces, systems that aren't labeled right, and situations where nothing is where it's supposed to be. A human electrician diagnoses weird problems, adapts on the fly. That's a lot harder to automate than people think. 7. Plumbers. A leak under a sink sounds simple until it becomes old pipes, weird angles, hidden damage, and somebody's bad DIY repair from 10 years ago. AI can help with scheduling and diagnostics, but replacing the person who shows up and figures it out? Not close. 8. HVAC technicians. Heating and cooling systems are physical, technical, and often unpredictable. If you live on the East Coast and the heat goes out in January, you need a person to show up and fix it fast. That combination of technical skill and physical presence still matters. 9. Carpenters. Carpentry lives in the real world. Measurements change, materials behave differently, spaces aren't always straight, and a lot of good carpentry involves taste, judgment, and decision-making that goes beyond just following a plan. 10. Construction managers. Even if AI helps with planning and scheduling, running a job site means managing people, delays, safety, weather, supply issues, and constant surprises. That's coordination under pressure, and it still needs a human in charge. We're halfway through the list. Trades and care jobs are safe, but what about everyone else? The next category is jobs where the work is really about helping people grow, learn, or move through something difficult. 11. Special education teachers. This job requires patience, emotional intelligence, constant adaptation, and deep communication with families. Every student is different, every day is different. AI might support learning, but this kind of teaching is deeply human. 12. Preschool/early childhood teachers. At that age, kids aren't just learning information, they're learning how to behave, interact, regulate emotions, and exist around other people. That is not something you automate with a screen. 13. Vocational instructors/hands-on trainers. If someone is teaching welding, nursing skills, electrical work, or culinary technique, they're doing way more than transferring information. They're coaching, correcting, demonstrating, watching details, helping people build confidence. Hard to replace with AI alone. 14. Coaches. Coaching isn't just giving information, it's reading a person, knowing when to challenge them, knowing when to back off, knowing what they're not saying. That's a very human skill. 15. Clergy and spiritual leaders. This one I also want to spend a moment on. I lost a close friend a couple of years ago, and I remember his family sitting with their pastor, not really looking for answers, just needing someone to be there. Someone who knew them, who knew what they were carrying, who didn't just say the right thing, but said it at the right moment, in the right way. You cannot get that from a chatbot. When people are dealing with grief, loss, doubt, or something they can't even put into words, they need presence, real presence. And that is still one of the most human things there is. And then we get to jobs where being mostly right isn't good enough. These are jobs where someone has to take responsibility. Someone has to make the call. And that accountability still tends to land on a human. 16. Emergency responders. Firefighters, paramedics, chaotic, fast-moving, life or death situations where you need courage, improvisation, and judgment. AI can support dispatch and analyze data, but showing up in a crisis and making real decisions in real time is still different. 17. Mediators and negotiators. Resolving conflict is not just logic, it's emotion, timing, trust, tone, and knowing how to move people toward agreement without making things worse. AI is not taking this over anytime soon. 18. Diplomats. Diplomacy is built on relationships, history, culture, and reading what isn't being said. AI can translate, it can summarize, it can analyze, but the diplomacy itself is still human. 19. Judges. AI absolutely support legal work, reviewing documents, surfacing patterns, but in a courtroom, where consequences are real and fairness matters, people still expect a human being to make the final call. 20. Trial lawyers. Not all legal work is safe. Research and drafting are already changing fast, but trial law is different. Persuading a jury, reading a witness, adjusting in real time, understanding emotion and pressure under the highest possible stakes. That's not information work. That's performance, judgment, and strategy all at once. So those are 20 jobs AI still can't fully replace. This space is moving fast. Some of these jobs will change. And if you look across this whole list, the pattern is pretty clear. The safer jobs involve real trust, real people, unpredictable environments, hands-on skill, or high-stakes judgment. That's where humans still have a serious advantage. I'd love to know what you think. Is there a job you'd add to this list, or one you think doesn't belong here anymore? Drop it in the comments, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.